Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Welcome back. It's Tim and Julie Harris. This is Real Estate Coaching Radio, and we've got a really fun podcast for you today. The title of today's podcast is How to Make LinkedIn Your Real Estate Lead Magnet. And before Julie gets to her first point, I want to remind all of you, they're going to definitely want the notes from today's show, and the notes are available for you. They're waiting for you. They're feverishly waiting for you to come over to harrisrealestatedaily.com and subscribe so you can grab hold of these notes. And you can use these notes, obviously, as your own roadmap to building your own LinkedIn profile. And you can then maybe use these notes if you're helping, let's say, for example, your team, your brokerage, other agents to do the same thing. So definitely go to harrisrealestatedaily.com and subscribe. And remember, you just have to simply drop in your email address and then go over to your normal email and then double opt in confirming you want the subscription. So Julie, I know we've got a lot of notes, and hopefully we'll get all this done in a half hour.
We'll see how it goes. So why LinkedIn? Well, LinkedIn is a lead generation jackpot. 1 billion members worldwide. That's a lot of people, and 61 million senior level executives. Most of you only need somewhere between 1 to 3, maybe 5 deals tops per month. So do you think with 61 million senior level executives, you could find some business in there? Of course you could. I have lots of coaching clients who have. I hear from the coaches, same from them. So in addition to your other proactive lead generation, this is in addition to, not instead of, right? We're going to add this on. This platform can be your 24/7 moneymaker, unlike Facebook and Instagram. Remember that people go to Facebook and Instagram for different reasons. Sometimes just to get an update from their friends, right? Like, Tim, what do you go? We all go every day, Facebook and Instagram. Why would you go there?
Well, I like cat videos on Instagram. I like sending them to you and Zoe and making you guys
do
laugh.
Send me some great videos.
Yeah, well, I've been working on that. Did you see the one? Did I send you that one where there was what was it, hamsters, or what were they? It's a little rat-like thing.
Ninja hamsters with the black bellies.
Yeah, ninja hamsters. If you get too close to their nest, they literally just pop up on all 4 legs and just start, or all the back legs, and go after you. Yeah. Well, there's that. But listen, what you're really saying is, if you think about a lot of businesses, they block people from being able to go on any of the normal social media, Facebook, Instagram, certainly TikTok. Well, they don't block being able to go on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn essentially is the business's social networking platform. And we did we did LinkedIn when we sold real estate. It was just getting started, and we did get a lot of really great high-end business from it, because what you'll see is a lot of folks at work who are on LinkedIn, who are connecting with other people, have ongoing conversations, and then they'll send your profile, your real estate profile, inside LinkedIn from one executive to another. And here's another little thing you might not consider. A lot of relocation companies, they're not necessarily going to go to your Facebook profile. They're going to go to your LinkedIn profile to see if if you're active on LinkedIn, if you are, what your sales history is. Really, they're looking to see how professional you are. So just like we always encourage you guys to have profiles on all the social media platforms, LinkedIn, depending on your price point, I think that has a lot to do with the nature of your market. LinkedIn could be the king of them all as far as lead generation. Now, be clear in your head. This is not a replacement for proactive lead generation. This is something designed to enhance proactive lead generation. But Julie's had a lot of very high-end coaching clients who work in very, upper end price ranges, who get a lot of their business from LinkedIn, or at the very least, they've got the lead, and then the lead is checking them out on their LinkedIn profile. So just, you guys see how this goes hand in glove. It's proactive lead generation primarily, and then you're going to reinforce the proactive lead generation with the passive lead generation.
That's right. And it is almost always like relocating executives, a lot of that is moving for their company. But I also have lots of cases where somebody is like becoming a snowbird and they don't have any realtor connections in, say, Naples. So they go to LinkedIn and they see, they're looking for profiles, which is our first point, your profile power. Think of this as your digital billboard. It's not just about your resume. And I read up about this and studied this. Some of the criticism was that You get less action. Some people think they should hide their phone number and make it harder, which makes no sense to me, right? So think of this as your digital billboard. Yes, you're going to have your resume, but statistically, profiles with photos get viewed 21 more times than just, a static text resume. For example, Sarah Klein, who's a Phoenix agent, revamped her headline to say luxury home expert, 50 plus deals closed in 2024, and added, and this is important, you can do this, added a client testimonial, almost immediately got an over $1 million listing from a CEO of a company who found her profile.
Now, let me give Sarah a suggestion on that. When you are saying 50 plus homes sold last year, it's a fantastic number. But do you think consumers know how to benchmark whether that's a average number, a low number, or a high number? So think about when you're writing these profiles and these descriptions, you got to write them with the idea that the person reading them does not speak real estate, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe the secondary thing that Julie said she did was great. She was talking about client testimonials. She's also going to want to maybe mention if she's working in, say, New Albany, Ohio Country Club, that like when Julie and I were selling there, and we'd get a lot of reload leads from the all the headquarters that were there, Bath and Body Works, Victoria's Secret, Abercrombie and Fitch, all these other things, Henry Bendel, all these corporate headquarters are there. So, be thinking in terms of that and don't necessarily be worrying too much about the real estate speak, because all of us real estate folks get mired in some of these numbers that really mean nothing to consumers. You want to say specializing in relocation for these corporate executives, specializing in these neighborhoods that you already know that those corporate executives flock to. Does that make sense, Julie?
It does. So would you say being more specific and less broad is best here? Like how specific would you be? You mentioned like New Albany, Ohio. That's a suburb of Columbus, which is of course of Ohio. Like how specific do you think they should be?
I think the riches are in the niches, and that's more true now than it's ever been before. And it's very difficult for someone to really to be a generalist and say, for example, we sell, $1 million, we specialize in $1 million executive homes all over Columbus, Ohio. That's not as compelling or believable as a message as if I say we specialize in New Albany Country Club and homes, executive level homes and something like that. And yes, you'll hypothetically attract fewer leads, but the leads that you're going to attract are going to be the better quality, more serious type leads. They're going to be the ones that, so just be thinking like, if I were a consumer, and I knew nothing about real estate, starting with my initial point, would I care much about her having sold 50 houses last year? I don't know what that means, but I do care that she's active in the communities that I'm thinking about moving to, because the other executives at these same corporations work and, where I'm going to work, live in those same communities. Hopefully that makes sense.
Definitely. Thank you for that. And so point number 2 is the content itself. What is the content that converts? Your job is to be the expert. And Tim, you just said, be very specific, say what you do, where you do it. There's a stat that says content posts with images also get 2 times the engagement. That's from LinkedIn. That's one of their stats. They say using pictures and charts is advantageous. There's a success story from Mike Torres in Denver. He posted a 30-second video on a 2025 interest rate trends. It got 600 views, 12 direct messages, and a $450,000 buyer lead just from that one 30-second clip. So imagine if you were posting consistently. Be actionable about this. Post 3 times a week, and you can mix things like statistics. Maybe you talk about a 4% price growth in 2025, projections, the kind of the things that we talk about on our podcast sometimes. But you can mix that up with stories, polls. You can do a poll like, should you buy now or wait? What's the interest rate that makes you want to move? Things like that. But posting valuable content, not just typical, like just listed, just sold posts that we're all used to seeing and kind of keep on scrolling through, especially if that's not something they're interested in. Go ahead.
The point you're making is it's a more sophisticated consumer.
Yes. And in fact, they've studied this specific to real estate when I was doing research on this. For example, you can post your answers to the top 5 questions that you typically answer as a real estate professional. And remember that those 5 questions have changed since, for example, the commission lawsuit. LinkedIn stated for realtors, here are some of the top questions. Why should I pay a buyer's agent? How can I win in a multiple bid situation? How to price my home? How to stage my home is pretty typical. You could post top 5 new construction options in Austin with quick videos of model homes. Depends on what you want your specialty to be. But I thought that the questions were very interesting, and to not just post this, these are the questions that I'm hearing, but to post your answers. That's showing that you're a professional. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm just thinking as you were saying those questions, I was thinking those are all the types of questions that we help them answer in the ethical real estate professional designation.
Exactly.
And if ultimately you have somebody, again, we got to acknowledge what LinkedIn isn't. LinkedIn is not Facebook. LinkedIn is not a place to put your funny cat videos, right? So LinkedIn's going to be where you're going to attract an upper end, I'd say more sophisticated potential consumer. So when you're constructing this content, you got to be thinking, what is it that they're going to be looking for? They're not probably going to be overly focused on, essentially the local football scores. They're going to be more focused on maybe the crime statistics. They're going to be more focused on perhaps the housing trends in a particular community. They're going to be focused on new construction that might not be in the MLS. They're not going to necessarily be able to see. But go back to the original point I made. Make sure you're really being very specific, that you focus on particular, neighborhoods ideally, and also that you work with specific corporations as far as relocation. And again, if you don't have a big viable relocation market in your area, that's fine too. But don't let the opportunity to really drill down on that you specialize in these particular, ideal neighborhoods. Make sure you're really reminding them constantly that, this is what I do. This is what I focus on. This is what I'm the best at. And I'm here to serve you. I'm here to be whatever I can do. And then also it's interesting, folks that you're going to get communicating with you from LinkedIn are going to be communicating with you usually during normal working hours, and not like Facebook or all the others that it's going to be after normal working hours or like during lunch. So make sure you're catering to that. And Julie mentioned also the phone number thing. And it is interesting that so many agents don't list their phone numbers anywhere. They lose the biggest, simplest, easiest way to get leads quickly. Just simply say, call me on my cell phone number or text me for more information on something like that. Don't try to force them into a funnel. I know some of you guys make these fancy Instagram funnels and all the rest of it. But going back to ethical real estate professional, if ultimately you're trying to differentiate yourself on LinkedIn or any platform, or, especially to somebody that's not already local to you, showing that you have this extra layer of really its ultimate social proof. It's like the modern blue check in real estate. It's going to be the ethical real estate professional designation. Make sure you've got that. And to learn more about ethical real estate professional, you can just go to ethicalrealestateprofessional.com. And ethical real estate professional is part of Premier Coaching. And a lot of you are joining Premier Coaching. Literally thousands of you join Premier Coaching per year. And if you've not yet become a Premier Coaching client, you can join in such a way that you can actually become an ethical real estate professional agent right from the get. So go to premiercoaching.com and then join. You can join right now for free. Premiercoaching.com. There's no risk, no contracts. You can cancel at any time. And if you want to see the designation, learn more about it, why we are confident, because we've already tested it, and knowing that this is going to give you an unfair advantage in your marketplace, go over to the website, ethicalrealestateprofessional.com. So just so I'm not confusing you, premiercoaching.com is the gateway to earn your ethical real estate professional designation. Premier Coaching is where we teach you how to be an ethical real estate professional, teach you the sales systems, teach you the scripts, the whole thing. We've been talking a lot about relocation. We're going to tell you how to get involved with relocation companies. We're going to tell you how to work with luxury real estate, all the things that you're going to want to know. So when you do build your profile on LinkedIn, you're going to be confident when they communicate with you, because you're going to be able to lean into the work that we've already done for you with regards to Premier, and of course, you being an ethical real estate professional agent. So go to premiercoaching.com and join right away. And if you want to have, again, a little peek at what your future is going to be when you've earned the ethical real estate professional designation, you can just go to ethicalrealestateprofessional.com.
It's a great way to show how professional you are. And that is the point of LinkedIn, right? So point number 3, your job is to continue to network like a pro, to grow your pool. This is not just a post once and forget it and hope something comes to you. LinkedIn thrives on connections. There's 49 million users job hunting weekly on LinkedIn. Many of them need homes. Again, think relocating executives. Almost all of the cases I've heard from coaching clients have been relocating executives. Most of you listening want to raise your average sale price. This is another great way to do that. Success story. Lisa Chen, a Charlotte agent, connected with 50 local CPAs. Again, growing her pools. She did this in 1 month. One of those CPAs referred a relocating executive, closed a $700,000 sale and earned more than a $20,000 commission. That was from a LinkedIn connection as a result of growing her pool to talking to CPAs. That also goes to second degree connections. That's a referral from a referral. Again, thinking about connecting the dots. And when you get one of those connections, one of the things that LinkedIn does is it gives like a job anniversary alert, or it might give a job promotion alert. So you find out about one of your connections had some kind of a professional event. Call instead of just hitting the lazy button, like, nice job, whatever, and then forget about it. This is where you doing the personalized phone call makes you more professional and makes the actual connection instead of just doing what everybody else does and gets forgotten about. What do you have to say about that, Tim?
I was writing down what you said. So the do's, when you're making your connections, do connect with human resources folks. So go into LinkedIn and put in a search for human resources professionals, especially ones in small and medium and obviously large companies. Connect with all of them. Connect, right? Do connect with new construction, especially the new construction folks that are working in all the local offices, local model homes near you. Do connect directly with relocation executives. And we're going to teach you how to do that in Premier Coaching, but like a relocation company, there's, even if it's not associated with your brand, like eXp Realty gets relocation leads from the relocation company that is associated with Prudential, Coldwell Banker, Century 21. So they get so many leads, mostly buyer leads. They'll send those to eXp agents, obviously for a referral fee. But moral of the story is you definitely want to connect directly with those relocation executives because you can get those leads directly. So if I'm, Betty, and I'm working in ABC Relocation, I'm located in, Kansas, and I'm looking for somebody that's going to be able to help this relocating executive that's moving to, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, doesn't matter where, and I don't have somebody in my network, I'm probably going to go to LinkedIn and I'm probably going to start searching there. So there's, another idea for you. And broker to broker referrals. I'm thinking like Rob Johnson. Rob Johnson in Greenwich, Connecticut gets a lot of business from large brokerages that aren't necessarily associated with his brand out of Manhattan. So there's another good one. Now, don't try to spend all your time on LinkedIn connecting with other, especially local real estate agents. That's a mistake because that's what Facebook is for. But do go. So if, for example, when you're like Julie and I used to sell real estate in Columbus, Ohio, and we would get a lot of relocation that was coming from the East Coast, New York, Boston, and a lot from Atlanta. And so what we did is we would connect with the top listing agents that were selling homes in those particular markets. We made a list and we connected with them, and especially ones in certain price ranges, or ones that were like in Atlanta, it would be like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola's, focused there. And then a lot of those guys would move up to Columbus and things like that. So we would seek out the agents that we knew that were working with our prospective relocating buyer clients, right? When they're moving to Columbus. And then they would want us to be reciprocal if we had anybody moving out to hook them up that way. So you're going to have to be creative in really how this works. And then the more you make those types of connections, LinkedIn's AI is really cool. It will start referring and suggesting that you connect with this person, this person, this person. Oh, that person you just connected with, that's at ABC Brokerage in Chicago. They are connected with these three relocation companies. And then you're going to start figuring out how all these things, the original science, human sciences behind this it's called talking about degrees, right?
Like your the 6 degrees of separation thing.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what a lot of this social media stuff was. The premise of it was essentially a social experiment trying to figure out, like, I think the original one was, how many degrees are you from Kevin Bacon? Wasn't that what it was?
I think something about that.
It was. How many connections are you from Kevin Bacon? I believe that was the
I was just talking about this with a coaching client in Dorado the other day. And she was talking about how here it seems like there's only like 3 degrees of separation between everybody because everybody knows. You were on a phone call last night where you said we seem to know all the same people. So yes, and LinkedIn is a great tool to make that more efficient. And that was a great tee up to point number 4, which is about groups and messaging groups, like what you were talking about the different corporations in your town, or maybe common relocations. Like you said, we used to do tons of back and forth with Atlanta. And I remember we also had great connections within Ohio with Cleveland and Cincinnati and us being in Columbus. So join local business or real estate groups. That could be investor groups as well. The previous example of a CPA group, stagers, there's lots of different ancillary, surrounding corporations. So a success story right out of Columbus was an agent named Tom joined Columbus Small Business Owners. There could be an investor group, a small business owner, entrepreneurs, things like this, and commented on a post simply about expansion in Columbus. That got him an $880,000 buyer, again, relocating buyer, moving for a job. So the messaging tip also is, after connecting with any of these groups or individuals, you can send a soft note. Notice that you're in whatever city. Notice you work for whatever corporation. Any real estate plans for 2025? Throw it out there and see whether that comes back to you after you've made that connection.
And also think about if you hear, let's give them some advanced coaching. Your town has Julie, do you remember when we used to take our relocation package and we would essentially give it away for the Better Business Bureau?
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce, that's right.
Yeah.
And so the Chamber of Commerce had this really great product that they would spend their money on to mail to relocating folks. It wouldn't have to be an executive necessary, but someone contacts the Chamber of Commerce and they're relocating to our market, they would put our propaganda basically in their package and send it out to those potentially, those folks that might be moving to our neighborhood. It was great. And it was free except for the cost of the stuff we'd have put in there. And we would definitely get business from that. And so this is essentially, make sure you call your Chamber of Commerce and find out if they have anything similar to that. But LinkedIn's a way to take that same concept to the next level. That's all this is. It's just essentially a hook. Yeah. This is something that's passive. It won't take you very much time to set up. It won't take you very much time to maintain. And you will get the occasional, mostly buyer leads from this. This is not a great place to go looking for sellers. Though, of course, if you work with some buyers over time, when they go to relocate again or move, you might get those guys' listings, provided you're staying in contact with them. But that's a different conversation.
Well, that's right. And a lot of the ones, excuse me, that came in as buyers did end up being our listings in the future, whether they got relocated out or whether they just moved up or down with their houses. That's a great connection to future. We always thought of, current buyers as future listings. And when you think about those incoming relocating executives, you mentioned the Chamber of Commerce. I remember we also had connections with the actual New Albany Country Club because a lot of people were interested in golf. We used to take them on tours when they were relocating in or out. The Columbus Zoo was a big one. The schools, we had a connection to New Albany schools because a lot of people would come in and take a tour of the school. So again, a digital way using LinkedIn to make all of those connections closer. So think about what's important to somebody, whether they're relocating for a job or maybe they just want a change of, maybe there's a lot of relocation of baby boomers moving back to be close to grandkids. Maybe that's all that's happening. But what's important to them? Restaurants and, Chamber of Commerce stuff. Maybe it is a job thing. Maybe it's golf, whatever it is. So point number 5, like many points in our podcast, is consistency. This is not a just try it out and dabble and pray to the real estate god something's going to happen. Consistency wins, so play the long game. LinkedIn rewards steady effort. Success does build over time. Posting weekly boosts profile views by 3 times. That's, again, a stat right from LinkedIn. Kelly Hart, a Texas agent, posted monthly market updates. That's another great piece of content, right? A VP at Samsung, the company Samsung, DM'd her and listed a $900,000 home, which closed in 45 days. Okay, that's because she had been consistent about the market updates. Many times people know they're going to be selling or they think they're going to be selling in the next 6 months or a year. Tim, you call that low-hanging fruit. They haven't actually talked to any real estate agents yet, but how many people are secretly looking at those market updates to see are prices going up or down? What's hot and what's not? What's happening in my zip code? Who are the agents who actually work in my zip code and seem to be really knowledgeable? So commit first to 30 days, 3 posts a week, making 50 connections, at least 10 messages, but put it in your calendar. Don't do this just, when it's raining outside and your appointments cancel. Put it in your calendar. It only takes maybe 15 minutes a day. I believe strongly as a coach in habit stacking. So if there's something in your day that you're already used to doing, maybe you always do your lead follow-up after lunch at 1 o'clock. You always seem to do that between 1 and 2. You're really good at that. You built that in your schedule. So when it becomes 2 o'clock, add at 2 o'clock, you have an alarm that says, follow up on LinkedIn, 15 minutes every day. What are your thoughts, Tim?
Well, I was thinking about if you and I were doing this, one of the things that you might, again, depending on you got to really know what folks are going to be searching for. Remember that you're dealing with somebody that's probably at work, going to be more, it's not a Facebook type conversation.
Professional.
Right. And so maybe you want to like, it's probably, again, if you're trying to go after more executive level clients, which all of you should be, generally speaking, they're easier to work with because, they usually bring cash or, a lot of the issues they'd have.
And they're motivated.
And they're motivated. Well, maybe you're going to specialize and let the world know that you specialize in golf course communities. Maybe it's maybe the lakes or some sort of other natural feature is what draws people to your community. Make sure you're really recognizing what those things are and say you specialize in those things because that's what people are going to be looking for. A lot of the folks that are the reason you definitely want to have a profile on really LinkedIn, but all the social medias is because someone might find you from a referral. From a trusted friend or advisor. They probably will, but what they're going to do is they're going to search you and find out information about you from how you present online. So if you do a half-baked, and this is Julie's last point, if you do a half-baked profile on LinkedIn that you never update, and the last time it was updated was like, 2013, and they're thinking about they're looking for an agent. They see that you're not updating. They're going to assume you're out of business. They're going to make all kinds of assumptions about you, none of them good. That you're lazy, you got nothing going on, you start things and you don't finish them, all this stuff. So do this, but do it at the highest level. And if not, it'll actually work against you. It could actually hurt your potential business, not help it.
Yes, I would agree with that. And by being consistent, even 15 minutes a day, even if that's 3 times a week, not 5, but being fairly consistent, you're also going to see what other people are doing to connect, and you're going to learn how to best utilize it at a higher level. And then you're going to want to be doing it more. You're going to start getting results from it. And then that'll just become part of your daily habits. So again, I also want to emphasize this is in addition to, this is not to be thought of as a solo lead generation resource. But again, how many times do you need to have this work out? Once a month? 3 times a year? It's totally worth it. Remember, the average sale price gives you a $10,000 to $12,000 commission. So I think that's a pretty good investment on 15 minutes a day for 3 to 5 times a week. Don't you?
Oh yeah. And think in terms of when you're doing any kind of passive lead generation, which is ultimately what this is, make sure you're doing some kind of call to action, a CTA, offer something of value, give them an excuse or give them something that's going to, like an excuse to contact you, but make it so compelling that it's going to haunt them if they don't. And it could be a list of off-market houses. It could be your preferred lenders. It could be, let's say, for example, you're wanting to specialize in an area where you already do, where the homes are, 7 figures and above, and that's beyond the normal FHA, VA, Fannie Freddie loan limits. And so they're going to have to deal with lenders that specialize in super jumbo loans. You guys following me on all this? Well, that's going to be something that folks are going to put a lot of value on if you happen to have a list that specializes in homes with mortgage amounts over this particular price range. That's not something that's easily searched. And if you're going to a particular market, like for example, loan officers, just like real estate agents, get almost all their business from centers of influence and past clients. But if you're moving to a market where you don't have any, relocation or you don't have any connections with local lenders, and that's how you found all your loan officers in the past, that puts you at a disadvantage. But you've tripped over Julie's LinkedIn profile, and here she is offering a special report on all the lenders that offer the loan types of the type of loan products that you're searching for. You guys get it? So think like the person that you're trying to attract. Create almost like an avatar of that person. How old are they? Do they have kids? Where they do on the holidays? All these things. Write it down. And, if you want to know who they are, they're probably very similar to you or very similar to the clients you've worked with in the past or the clients you want to work with. So write down all the characteristics of that person. Julie and I originally learned that actually from someone we helped relocate to worked with Victoria's Secret. Her name was Margaret Garvey. And she and her husband were relocating not from out of state, but from across this, basically from across the state. And she was one of these folks that would go into Victoria's Secret and she would open the stores. Like she would be one of the crew that she was actually the manager that managed the people that were the store openers. That the details beyond that don't matter. But she told me about how they would go into these meetings, Victoria's Secret meetings. And then we had another executive that started White Barn Candle Company. He said the same thing. So when they start these businesses, they start out with who's our customer? Like who's our target customer? What do they look like? What do they dress like? What do they have as hobbies? What are their fears? What are their hopes? What do they listen to? What are they, every darn detail they can possibly think of. And then what they do is they'd actually create a picture of what this person looks like. I was told at White Barn Candle Company, they actually drew a picture of this lady and, they had an artist, sketch out, and then they digitized it, what their ideal customer was. And that was essentially the centering, like every time they were thinking, well, let's come out with blah, blah, blah product, or let's do this promotion and that promotion. And they'd say, well, is this something that Betty would be attracted to? Is this something that, depending what you're selling, is this something that Steve would really be interested in? I mean, we're an automotive parts store and you guys are talking about coming out with cozies. I mean, I'm not sure. Or
who's your customer?
Exactly.
Who's keeping it focused.
Right. And then literally drill down and write who you're trying to attract. Know exactly what all their details. And you can use AI for this too, which is pretty awesome,
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're thinking about, okay, when I'm trying to rate any kind of passive lead generation thing, your LinkedIn social profile, for example, how do I write this so that it's going to attract that person that I'm trying to attract? And is talking about having sold 50 homes going to do anything to want Betty to want to do business with me? Or is she going to want to see that I'm actively involved in the school system? Is she going to see that I'm actively involved in these pet charities? You guys get it? So think like somebody who is going to want to think like if you are the person that's relocating, what is it that you're looking for? Who is it that you're trying to connect with? Go ahead, Julie.
Well, as you were talking, that's an excellent point, because it's like, know your audience, right? And I was thinking two things you said. One is the importance of your connection to a really great one or two high-end loan officers, because in every town there are guys or gals that that's their thing. They're efficient. They understand how to talk to luxury, high-end, fast-paced. I'm here for a job. I don't have time to mess around types. There are people who are good at that, and there are people that are terrible at that. And, it's not every lender that's that great. So I think the high-end lender recommendation for jumbo, super jumbo, that's really important. And the other thing, if you recall, much of our relocation business, they were really into not just new construction, because they figure they're going to get relocated in 3 to 5 years anyway. I don't have time to rehab. Maybe I don't have the energy, or I certainly don't have the connections to do a rehab, right? Maybe I just don't even like old houses. They love new construction, but especially spec homes that are like 2 months away from completion. That was perfect executive relocation catnip, because it was new, but they didn't have to wait for the entire build process. And there was very little inspection issues, and you didn't have a rehab problem. It was ready to rumble. So that's how you can connect your builders to your relocating executives. New construction is something that everyone listening needs to work on and get better at as we have this new housing boom coming up. That's a great way to connect the dots and do more transactions, is those relo executives that just want to find a nice, great new build and be done with it. We had so many, I think it was probably like 80% of them, that's what they would pop for.
Oh yeah, definitely. And one of the best, I think one of the best ways to build your profile, first of all, when you're building these social profiles, make sure everything's very consistent. Your name obviously is consistent, but your picture's the same. Everything is very consistent. So, okay, I think that's Julie, on
20
Facebook,
years ago.
Exactly. But it doesn't quite look like Julie, because on her LinkedIn picture, she looks different. You guys see how that's a mismatch? So make sure all of your information travels consistently amongst all the different places someone might search for you online. One of the best ways to go about doing a search for yourself online is go to Brave, use the browser brave.com, and then do a search for you, and just do a search as if you were a consumer and see what that experience is like. So if you, for example, if you're somebody that's in a marketplace, you're not selling in a neighborhood, you're not selling in a community, you're selling farm and ranch land, you got to be thinking about maybe the farm or the ranch person that's thinking about putting their property for sale. So you're going to want to make sure you're catering your message to whoever Cowboy Bob is, right? So be really very, very intentional with who you're trying to attract. Because if you're too much of a generalist, no one's going to feel connected with you. Like, think about it. Who are the people that are attracted to Julie and I as real estate coaches? I can tell you who our profile is. And it's not because we created this. It's just because this is generally what we attract. People that are late, or they're older, millennials, to, I would say, mid-range baby boomers, and definitely Generation X. I mean, all Julie's personal coaching clients are Generation X folks, right? They appreciate all of her 80s references. So
most of the time,
most of the time. All right. So that's who we attract. And we attract someone that's like, for a personal coaching client, most of Julie's personal coaching clients have been in the business for probably 10 years, consistently sell this money homes, usually make plus or minus $1 million a year. Those are her upper end coaching. That's what Julie specializes in. And by the way, if you're looking for the ultimate real estate coach, Julie is usually in the market for like 2 or 3. And yeah, so definitely you can message me directly if you're interested in being interested in being coached by Julie, 512-758-0206. A vast majority of our coaching sales are definitely Premier Coaching clients. And so in the Premier Coaching, what we did is we build a profile of what we're looking for. We're not necessarily looking for the brand new agent, because the brand new agent is still trying to figure out whether or not they're going to be in the business in 6 months, let alone a year. We're looking for someone, our ideal client, and our avatar is somebody who has sampled other things, realized that we've been saying forever is true, as far as where leads actually come from, and they don't come from where you're being told, and they don't come from the things that you're being sold to believe they come from. So we want somebody who's actually been up the mountain, down the mountain, and realized that they need to actually hire a better Sherpa. That's what we look for. Those people are our ideal clients. And so all the content we create and the messaging that we do on this podcast, it's designed for the person that has experience, the person that knows what we're saying is true. And all we're doing when Julie and I are talking about different things is if you're a new agent and you're inexperienced, you think, well, those guys have a lot of opinions and I haven't heard that before. No one's ever said that before about social media. But if you're someone that's been in the business for a while and you heard Julie and I say what we say all the time, you're going to say, yep, they're right. Yep, they're right. Yep, they're right. You guys get it? So intuitively, they're listening to us and we're automatically connecting with them. That's our ideal client. Those are the people that we see. There's no selling. It's like, I found Tim and Julie Harris. We were already on the same page. I like what they have to say. I like how they present. I like their, this is a good match for me. So when you're thinking about how do you want to present yourself online, be thinking about who you're trying to attract, and don't attract the millennial with a big gold chain, who's leaning on someone else's Rolls Royce. Okay. Don't try to be like the younger generation. Be the person that you would want to find if you were in the market to buy or sell real estate, or be the person that you want to be. And, if you're, for example,
you're growing into,
who you're growing into is the best way to say it. Thank you, dear. So that's really the way to think about all of this. And remember though, ultimately, all this passive lead generation stuff that we're talking about, it does nothing ultimately more than reinforce the proactive lead generation. Because as we've proven to you guys countless times, most of your business after 5 years is going to come from centers of influence and past clients. Assuming you make it 5 years, assuming you keep your centers of influence and past clients close to you. And then all the other things reinforce essentially the centers of influence of past clients after 5 years. If you're wanting to expand your business, if you're wanting to build a team and you need to create more leads than your centers of influence and past clients will actually create for you, we teach you obviously how to do that in Premier Coaching. But no matter where your direction is in your business, no matter what your price range is or your experience level, you absolutely nowadays need to have very well thought out profiles on all the social media platforms. As far as what I was going to mention earlier, the best, most powerful thing you can have on any social media platform or in any website is a video testimonial. And I know they're a little bit hard to get from folks, but I'll tell you the easy button for that. You can give them sample things to say. Go to Grok AI or OpenAI and have it write out, 10, 60-second or 30-second testimonials where people will just drop in their names, and then give them sample scripts of things they could say and ask them to do it right in front of their phones, and then give them something for doing it. It could be a gift certificate, just something, some show of gratitude, or just show up at their houses. And then, after they've moved in, say, for example, a buyer that just bought with their permission and maybe a gift basket, and give them some ideas of what they might want to say. And then they'll do it. Because here's what's interesting. And we've experimented with this over the years with coaching clients. People want to give you testimonials. They just don't know what to say.
Right. That's right. They don't want to take the time to try and noodle it out and write it out and then record it, or,
right.
They might feel funny about being on screen. Another good time to do it is like right after they close. and they're moving in like the next day or even right after at the closing table. I know a lot of my clients do it that way because they're all happy. They got the keys. They're stoked. And you just made it through. In some cases, it was a tough negotiation and all these inspections. Oh my gosh, I'm so relieved. And I couldn't have done it without you. So that's when you get them to do the video, and you make it easy, as you said, by doing it right there on your iPhone. Don't overcomplicate things.
And your iPhone's got basically the best video camera you could possibly imagine. Now, these don't have to be video testimonials from past clients. They could be folks at church, from the gym, from old neighbors, new neighbors. They could just be, it doesn't matter. Your dog
kind of like professional endorsement videos.
Right. Because remember, people are moving. They're going to be finding you on LinkedIn. They're going to be reading these profiles. They're going to, talk with all these. Again, ideally, you're going to have the social proof is going to be video testimonials or a video of somebody saying nice things about you. If it's not a past client, it's fine. If it happens to be somebody from your church and you live in an area where a lot of people go to, whatever, Catholic, Baptist, doesn't matter. And you are now saying, I'm a member of this church. Here's what the pastor has to say. And those folks are thinking about also joining the local church. That's going to be a big draw to them. The fact that you've already got a good reputation inside the church that they're going to join anyway. You guys get it? So think expansively. But if you're wondering what content to have on your actual profile, take Julie's notes from today, get them from our newsletter, harrisrealestatedaily.com. But ultimately, where you want to gravitate towards is having as many video testimonials or testimonials similar type adjacent things as possible, because that stuff is incredibly powerful.
Yeah, that's right. And there's been a lot of studies that have shown not only do they get opened more frequently and watched to the end, but they also tend to result in actual transactions. I always tell coaching clients, that's why it's called social proof. You can say, I'm great all you want to. Of course, your resume is going to say that. Everybody expects you to say that. It's a different thing when you have somebody who's actually made it to the finish line with you, who knows, loves, and trusts you, and is willing to attest to that on a video.
That's right. There you guys go. So hopefully this will be something that will motivate you to get this done. Julie, realistically, how long do you think it'll take them to get their profile set up on LinkedIn, following your instructions?
Like an afternoon, maybe tops, depending on how organized they are. And then consistent care and feeding of it, 15 minutes a day for 3 to 5 days a week, getting it into your calendar so you're not just consistent for that first week and then drop the ball, and then nurturing it and doing the things that we talked about on today's podcast.
So I'm going to give them if I were following your instructions, I wouldn't set it up myself. I would go to WeWork probably, and I would put a job up. It wouldn't cost you more than probably $25. And I would hire somebody that really knows how to build out your profile on LinkedIn. And that's what I would do.
Somebody who does that as their thing.
Totally. Does it as their thing. Because you can see, like, for example, when there's so many little options on LinkedIn, just like there is on Instagram or Facebook. If you look at someone's profile and says like, how the heck did they do that? Don't bother trying to figure it out. Hire someone who knows how to do it.
Good point.
Yeah. So for $25, you can get your time back and have somebody that knows what the heck they're doing. Cool. All right, there you go. There's the podcast. Remember, guys, like and subscribe and get Julie's notes by going to harrisrealestatedaily.com. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, and we'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.